Look at my team, look at my games, look at my consistency and all that.
Oh yeah, just going back when Gabriela was saying about how he didn't know who you were before Dreams Say Plenty.
Yeah.
Like I also didn't know. Like to this day, like it's still a bit sketchy. Like you didn't come up with any click or anything like that.
Nope.
Where do you come from? Who is Solo?
Yeah.
Before Dreams Say Plenty.
Because it was out of nowhere. I just saw you on the bus.
I really didn't think I'd have to answer this question in 2018.
I just saw him on the bus.
For real, it's like
let's get into it.
All of a sudden there's a guy on the bus who do me a proverb. I'm like, how?
This guy. How did he get there? He must be
Hey, man.
Just give us a bit of a background thing because that's
one comparison is the thief of joy, player. Keep saying, player. Nah, man. Okay, so look, in 2010, 2009 and 2010, I think, I put out a mixtape called No Shades of Grey. Yeah, that was in 2010. And how I did it, so remember, I mean, at the time, we were kind of just coming off of mixtapes being the thing.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, timing wise, it made sense. But how I did it was I put out this mixtape, I built a website, put out this mixtape, and I had it live on the site for, I think it was 3 months. Then after 3 months, it was off. Right? So people ask if they can get it. You can't get it. I don't even have it. It's gone. Right? That was the idea. The idea, at least my thinking behind it at the time, was to create a sense of almost like, you know, he's not really in arm's reach, almost like this, not to say unattainable, but you know, he's almost like being in my own tier where, you know, I almost setting this precedence of I'm gonna do things differently to everybody. That was my thinking at the time, right? And what happened was the few people who got it were like talking about it.
Yeah.
And normally, you know, just the psyche is, if you go, dog, you're sleeping on whoever, you need to get on it. Then I'm like, all right, cool, let me get on it. Right? So that when I can listen to it, I can then go to Gita and be like, I knew you were a dumb nigga. You've never heard of this guy, right?
Yeah.
And whereas day before, I'd never heard of the guy, right? But what it does is, well, again, the thinking was, it's gonna create this itch where you're just like, fuck, man.
I need to know
This nigga says I'm a doo-doo nigga for not knowing this nigga.
Yeah.
Now I can't even find this shit, right? Yeah, a level of frustration, but the idea was, who is Solo? And where do you find this? Create your own conversation without me, right? So that next time something comes out, and the idea was to follow up almost immediately with something else to do the same thing. That was my thinking at the time. One of the few people who got that project was Gabon. This is how that relationship started.
Okay.
So Gabon was actually the guy who put me on. So, you know, Gabon sits me down. He's like, he really loves, you know, what I do. And at the time, I think this is now 2011, and I'd written Stardust. So I was like, yo, actually, I want to play you the song. So I play him Stardust, and he's like, yo, dog, let me sign you. So I was just like, there it is. There's the dream. Told y'all. That's how it works.
Out of here.
You know, play one song, signed on the spot. That's how it goes. Right? So,
This my lights, please. Hello.
so I was just like, yeah, it's exactly how I planned this shit. And, you know, we start having this conversation, and I was like, yeah, so, you know, Stardust is for like my next tape. And he's like, dog, it's like mixtape.
Yeah, this
situation.
mixtape.
What is it? Like, you know, like people listen to a song on radio, go to Musica, and they're like, hey, do you have that song that goes da-na-da-da-da-da-da-da-da? And then if you don't have it, they do. I used to work at Look and Listen. I used to work at Look and Listen. Like, so they do that shit for real. So he was like, if they don't get it there, they don't get it. This thing, yes, in the States, Drake, Big Sean,
about the masses here.
But here, nigga, that's not real life.
TIA.
You know? So, you know, and I think that's where that became like the first switch in me mentally, and we then started working on this project. We started working on my debut, and you know, Gabomo had connects. You know, we kind of sat down thinking, yo, who would you want on the debut? Threw some names around. I remember I'd only just heard Reason. I was not familiar, and I was like, maybe that dude, like, that cat can rap. 2011 even.
Wow.
2011.
Where did you come from?
You weren't messing with nobody, man.
No, but listen, like I said, so in terms of my process, in terms of making music, I don't listen to people.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
did.
you
I
did say that earlier. Yeah.
So like I'm never gonna be the first to put you on anybody unless they're from my clique. That's just how it's gonna work. And I was like, yeah, maybe that nigga. And then, funny enough, I think that evening I was in the club and I run into Reason. And I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm Solo. He's like, yeah, I know who you are. I'm like, oh, thank God I know who you are now, because
Yeah, it would have been awkward.
right? And but we didn't have, like, we had a conversation, it wasn't music related, but I knew he knew who I was.
Yeah.
So in my mind, reaching out to him wasn't gonna be like, so this nobody you've never heard of is asking you to feature on this project. But like a lot of like the features were like Gabomu, relationships and stuff. I mean, debut in my mind, I mean, that's how labels work, right?
Yeah.
So and so he had a deal with Universal that allowed for him to sign artists. And then as things went, it was like, nah, let's rather just put him under the Universal umbrella anyways. Just based on, because now we had the final project, you know. Last song we made on the album was Stardust Remix, so with Doomy and Verb. But at the time I'd already put out Stardust and the video. I'd put out The Frolic with Gabo Mendino. You know, so when I
remember The Frolic used to get love,
yo, dude,
used to get love.
The Frolic is
was like,
So I'm saying.
So again, top
names are plenty.
top. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
yeah, Kai FM used to play the Frolic.
No, dude, The Frolic.
Frolic had
Between
that-
Tripilino, Likamo, and The Frolic, I think those numbers gonna be tough to beat.
Jubilee was like, I remember you
That's
was
my
saying
joint,
that's
like,
his joint
yo,
right there.
yeah, that joint did numbers, bro.
Yeah.
So then I then reached out to Doomy, and again my mentality was always, he says no, we move on. So then I sat down with Doomy, you know, I bumped a couple songs for him, then I played Stardust because he hadn't heard it, and I was like, yo, so I'm hoping you can get on this remix. By the time I only played 2 other songs and Stardust, and he was just like, yo, dog, you're on the wrong side, player. You don't want to be on this side, dog. Like, because that's what this sounds like. It sounds like you're making this kind of music, dog, and it's a handful of us on this side, and we're not eating. It's tough, my dog. I don't know if you wanna, you know. And I was like, I don't know what to do. This is what I sound like, nigga. I don't know what to tell you. This is it.
And you see the toughness of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it was even before walking in, you know.
Yeah.
You saw it. No, it's no
it wasn't
secret,
hidden.
nigga.
Yeah, it's not like
yeah. So I was just like, nah, but this is what I do. This is what I sound like. Let's, you know, if you're down, he's like, I'm absolutely down. You know, Verb was as easy, if not easier, where he was just like, oh man, absolutely, man, I fucking love it.
it's dope of Doomy at least to give you like.
That's why I was like, yo, man, my
like-
my experience of Doomy's a great guy, nigga.
Because he could
That's
have
what
been
I'm
on some,
saying.
yeah, man, let's get into, you know, like, act like this is me, dog. Like,
Couldn't properly sun me. He
Yeah.
didn't. You know, and obviously then as soon as we put that joint out, yeah,
That was it.
that was it.
Yeah, man. But I think that must be the admiration that people have for you, and that's why it's so easy for them to like jump on your project because of the respect that they have for the work that you put in. Because I don't know if you noticed that people are so scared to put out projects, bro.
Oh yeah.
I think it's just you
People write songs
and youngster
for like
that
a
put
year.
out projects.
Yeah, but also I know, man, if I was playing everybody else's game, I'd probably
You're on
fail.
the other side.
I'd probably fail, man. If I was playing a purely singles game and it was just like, yo, you know, like as soon as that one pops off, then you know,
we do something.
then we do something. I'd be waiting forever.
Super frustrated, man.
It is, and that's why I can't restrict my. But again, those are the label rules. You know, like we went from standard contract to 360 to we don't sign people. We sign per song now.
Yeah.
Because they do that shit.
Yeah, now they do that, man.
So,
I
like,
remember
you
I
get a
heard about
singles
the artist
deal.
there.
What?
Yeah.
Wait.
I mean, it's not,
Yeah,
I'm
and
not
the
mad at
single
that.
pause.
Look,
Honestly, I'm not mad at
Let me
that.
tell you
Give you
something though,
another
but it's the indicator. It's the indicator because the more they remove risk from themselves, the more they're not thoroughly invested in it. They're not leaping with you, nigga.
Yeah.
And that for me is the issue. Guys I roll with now, we fucking leap.
Yeah, we're all in.
Yeah, we're all in,
Yeah.
nigga. You know what I mean? And I don't know how it works otherwise.
Yeah.
And that for me is the issue with labels. I mean, how could I have said in fact, no, funny enough, this is where issues with Electromode started. I said to Electromode, all right, cool, Dreams Be Plenty is on the way. I want to put out this project called We Need a Title. They're like, oh yeah, no, wow, this sounds great.